Hi everyone, welcome to Python learning series. In this video, I'll demonstrate the difference between mutable and immutable using some real-time script examples, and we'll see how this affects the script output. Here I'm importing a function called password generator. It just generates a 8-character password, random password. Let's have a look into that first. I'll just do a print of that. And you can see it is generating a random password, and each execution generates a random password. If I copy and paste it multiple times, it generates password multiple times. I'm importing it from test function. Here the test function also is in same folder, and this is a script. It generates password. Here I'm using the random library. The library name is random, and using random I'm just using ASCII uppercase, lowercase and digit. If you see the generated password, that will have all these characters. And in another script I'll be explaining this in detail, the functions and how to debug a Python script using PyCharm. But here we will see what is mutable and immutable. And I have a users list here, and using all these below scripts I'm trying to generate password for all the users in the list, random passwords for all the users in the list. And using this we'll see the behavior difference of dictionaries, strings and list when we use within the for loop and outside the for loop, because of the mutable and immutable characteristics. So the mutable objects are list, dictionaries and sets are mutable, and string, integer, boolean, tuples are immutable. For the reference I just kept as a comment here, and this script will be using to see the mutable behavior of dictionary. Now let's have a look here. Let me just uncomment this and execute the script. What it does is it just creates the random password for all the users in the list. Now let us just have a look into that. I'll just try running the script. Here it has generated random password for all the users in the list. If I add another user here, I'll add user 4. It has generated password for user 4 as well. And in each execution it generates a random password. Since dictionaries are mutable, let us just take this out of for loop and see the difference. Now if I run the script, the behavior has changed. You can see all these 3 dictionaries contain only user 3 data, the last user's data. But if I put it back to the for loop, it functions properly. This is because of the mutable behavior of dictionary. But in case of string, even if the user is in the inside for loop or out of the for loop, the user string, it behaves in same way because string is immutable. We'll see in detail. And list also is having a difference when it is out of for loop. Let us run this and have a look first. Here it is generating a random password for each user and creating a list. But if I take this out of for loop, you can see behavior has changed. It is adding the complete users data into the list, and it adds 3 times. So we'll see why this is happening using the debug in Python. Now let me just comment this part. Let us go to Python's documentation. Here we'll have a look into immutable. So here immutable include numbers, string and tuples. We'll be seeing example using strings, and so object cannot be altered. If it is an immutable object, it cannot be altered, and a new object has to be created if a different value has to be stored. That means if you change the value, it will create a new object. So we'll have a look into that. For that, I'll open Python terminal and let me go to Python 3. Here I'll try creating a string called user1, and each object will have a unique ID, that is a memory address in Python. So let us have a look into the ID of this particular string, ID of s. So you can see the ID, it is 3568. Now let me just change the data inside this particular object. So I'll give s equal to user2. Now if we check the ID, it has changed to 3888. So that's what here it meant. A new object has to be created if a different value has to be stored. So when I changed this to user2, it has updated even the ID. But in case of dictionaries, even if you update the values, the ID remains same. So I'll just create a dictionary here. Yeah, I'll call this as name user1 and password. One, two, three. Now let me just print the ID of the dictionary. It is 5328. Now we'll try changing the content of the dictionary. So name I'll change to user2. And if you print, you can see it has updated the content. Now let me just print the ID. You can see ID still remains same. And similar to that, let us just try adding another key value pair here. Location, I'll give DC1. You can see even that also got added, but still the ID remains same, 5328. Similar to that, let us just create a list. User1, user2, ID of L is 2944, and L dot append user3. ID of L. You can see ID still remains same. So in case of immutable means strings are immutables. Once you try changing the value, even the ID changes in case of string. You can see here when I changed user1 to user2, ID has changed. But in case of mutable objects, even if you update the values, the ID won't change. That means the memory address will not change. Now let us go to the dictionary script, where it creates the user dictionaries with random password. Let us just try running it. Now it creates the random password for individual user. We'll enable Python debug in PyCharm. For that, you need to click on the left side part of the script. You can see a red dot came, and once you click on this debug button, it will start debugging the script. I'll be creating another detailed video on this. Here I'll just show how to see the mutable and immutable objects using this debug. So script has initialized, and you can see the variables here, the user list, and now next it will be executing this line. So debugger has started from this line. So let me just do the step over, and now it has created a final user list. It is empty list now, and then it is going to the for loop. Inside for loop we have one empty dictionary now. Now in the next step it will be creating an empty dictionary. So let us just give step over, and we can see there is a empty dictionary. Now we'll verify the ID of that dictionary. For that, user dictionary evaluate. So now the ID is 7408. Still the final user list is empty. Let us do a step over. Now here user has appended the username, and inside user dictionary also it has appended the value user1. Next it will be generating a password, random password, and appending to the user1. Let us verify the ID of the user dictionary. It is same. Here the final user list is empty. In the next step it will be appending the value to the final user list. Now we can see it has user1 data. In the next execution, user dictionary became empty again, and we'll see the ID of user dictionary now. It has changed to 8448. And it has appended the username, then password, added the value to the final user list. Same way it will even add the user3 as well. And you can see execution has been completed, and here you should be able to see the log. But now let us put this out of for loop and see the difference. Now let us try running again. Now it has created the users list from the above line, and in the next step it will be creating the final users list. So here it is empty now. Now it will initialize the dictionary. Here the dictionary is empty. Let's verify the ID of dictionary. User dictionary, and ID is 8208. And it appends the username to the dictionary and user dictionary. Username has been appended here. Password also got updated here. Now in the final user list we can see user 1 data, and the user dictionary is having the user 1 data, and ID still remains same. Now it will iterate only through this for loop. And now user dictionary username became user 2, and inside dictionary it has added user 2 data, and password also it got generated. It appended the password. Now you can see the final list. Even the first entry also has got changed to user 2, because since the ID is same, you can see ID is still same. It is not getting updated because it is out of for loop. So this ID is not getting updated. It is only updating the value here. Now we have 2 entry with user 2 data, and let us iterate again. Now user became user 3, and user password got updated, and before executing you can see even this also got updated here. So user 2 data has been updated to user 3. Now once we create the final user list, became user 3. But if you see the ID, it remains same. Now let us, without debugging, let us try running the script. You can see everywhere it is user 3. So to understand the difference, let me comment this, and we'll enable debug for user. I'll uncomment the string script and enable debug here. Add the user string creation out of for loop. Now I'll enable debug and let's see. So the users list, then final user list is empty, and user string is an empty value. ID of user string, and ID is now 3456. Now user string has been updated. You can see here now user 1 is the user string data. If you see the ID, it is changed to 4352. And now it is user 2. It is 4800. The ID became 4800. So the final output is like this. Here in this case, though it is out of for loop, whenever we try to update the value of user string, it is generating a new ID. So that is getting appended, and we are getting output in a proper way. Let us comment this and uncomment the list creation script, and I'll put it out of for loop. Enable logging. I'll do a debug here. Empty user list. Final user list is empty, and the user list also is empty. it will start appending the value. So user is user1 now, and it appended the value to the user list. Let's have a look here. ID of user list, it is 7776, and password also got appended here. Still it is same, and you can have a look into the final user list. It is user1, then user2 got appended to the same list because still the ID is same, and user2 password, and it is appended 2 times now. In the next execution again it will add user3 and create 3 times. ID is still same. So we're getting it this way. Now let us move this inside for loop. And now we will do the step over. So user list is empty and it got appended. ID of user list, it is 0560, and now user became user2. For user1 it was 0560, now it has changed to 5904, and you can see it is getting appended properly here. And now for user3 it is 8352. ID is getting updated since it is in inside for loop, but if it is out of for loop, even if you update the value, it retains that ID and only that ID is getting updated. Yeah, so you can verify it here. We have got it in the proper format. So in case of mutable object, you can change the value retaining same memory address. For example, here in case of list and dictionaries, we were able to change the value retaining same memory address, but in case of string, if you change the value, it will update the memory address as well. I hope this video was helpful for you to understand difference between mutable and immutable. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.